Even when I was 230 kilos, I was unapologetic. Everybody wants to try and play safe. So you need to give this generation their own set of original songs that they can own as 100% theirs. They deserve that. Which musician wants to come onto the limelight just to sing somebody else's songs? If you have a venue that is meant to be for 5,000, sometimes the greed of a given particular promoter might enable them to, end up selling 6,000, 7,000 seats.
Hi, today we have with us Mr. Adnan Sami. Adnan sir, welcome to the Quint.
Thank you very much.
So we start by asking you, you have spoken at length about your weight loss journey. So in this age and stage of social media where the youth are constantly pressured to, look a certain way, they suffer from body dysmorphia, what do you have to tell youngsters?
I think today people have become a little bit more sensitive about the issue as opposed to yesteryears. In the yesteryears, there was more cynicism. They used to just look at a fat person and say, mota hai. And they used to just dismiss him as almost like a joker. And that was very, very degrading, Today, at least with the social media, if one person tries to talk nonsense like this, 10 people will pounce on him and say, excuse me, what do you think you're saying? Because I think today there's a little bit more awareness, not entirely, but there's a little bit more awareness that fat is not just about people who just suddenly love to eat. It is acknowledged as a medical problem. People have created this ideal look that this is what is so-called acceptable and this is so-called not acceptable. I mean, this is no different to racism. It's like turning around and saying that a dark-skinned person is inferior and a white-skinned person is superior. That's absolute nonsense. What I would say to the youth, to everybody, is that be comfortable in the skin that you're in, because and be proud of who you are. Even when I was 230 kilos, I was unapologetic. I never was defensive about it. I mean, I will say that I will not encourage anybody to go to that weight because I had serious medical problems. And no matter how much I tried to create a facade of, I'm so happy and I'm enjoying myself, the truth is that behind the scenes, I was in tremendous amount of pain and I was in tremendous amount of depression. I had a tremendous amount of physical handicaps, which I didn't want to share with the world. So that's why I would never encourage anybody to go there. But having said that, I never was apologetic about it because I still felt the confidence that even if I may be whatever shape I am, I still have something to share with you which you cannot do, which is my USP. And so therefore, I'm proud of that. I'm not arrogant about it, but I'm proud of that. And that's where my confidence and pride came from. And everyone should feel that and not be dictated by any superficial trend that people try to impose upon you.
You recently released your new song Alvida and the music video after like a hiatus of over 2 years. Mm-hmm. We don't see a lot of music videos these days. Like back then, there were these incredible music videos. The songs were brilliant and the stories were equally good. Do you miss them?
The point is, whether we like it or whether we don't like it is another story. But, times change. During that particular time, people were more experimental. That is not something that is only happening over here. It's happening even in Hollywood. The amount of remakes that are being done or, all these DC comic, these are all safe projects. Everybody wants to try and play safe. And as a result, more original, edgy content is not coming at the same quantity as it should. And you see, it's very important for new things to come for the sake of progress, for the sake of evolution. Every generation has songs that they identify with. My father, when he was growing up, he had his set of songs that he loved, which he identified his youth with. And he would very proudly say to me, "Yesko suno," We had our songs, from the 80s and all that, which are our identity. What is happening right now is that a lot of songs that are being remade, and the youth of today are turning around and saying that, oh, this is my song. It's like, excuse me, that's not your song. This is actually my song. So you need to give this generation their own set of original songs that they can own as 100% theirs. They deserve that. Don't deprive them of that.
So are you a little concerned about, songs not becoming classics anymore?
Yes, I'm very concerned. Although I'll also tell you that music has an incredible natural ecosystem. It has the ability to completely shred unwanted music or bad music. It just disappears. In the past, there were record labels where everybody knew what their domain was, and they've remained within that domain. And the businessmen knew how to handle the money and the other aspects. The marketing person understood what the marketing was, and the creative person knew what the creative aspect of music was. Nobody stepped into anybody's territory. Now what is happening is that because the businessman has got the money, for some reason he feels that he's got the power to decide what is good or bad content-wise. A lot of singers of today are getting trolled very badly. That, why did you pick up a classic song and ruin it, and so on and so forth. The truth is, it's not their fault. You're trolling the wrong person. They're being told to do that. If you want to troll the people who are making them do that. They are just an instrument. You tell me, which musician wants to come onto the limelight just to sing somebody else's songs? No musician wants to do that. Everybody wants to create their own legacy. They want to create their own identity.
Also, these days we see even movies just having 3 to 4 songs, whereas in the past every movie would have its own album, 8 to 10 songs. So what do you have to say about that?
Whatever happens in Hollywood sort of happens about 30 years later over here. There was a time in Hollywood where every second movie was a musical. Today, I think that cinema in India is going through in my opinion, a wonderful evolution. The movies are becoming more realistic in many ways. I have a tremendous love and romance for the past films as well. Don't get me wrong here. I will always love Sholay, all these other fantastic movies like Pakiza and Mughal-e-Azam and so on and so forth. And the music was tremendous. But what I'm trying to say is that it was acceptable. A real macho person like Dharamji would kick the butt of Gabbar Singh, and then he would also sing a song like Koi Hasina Root Jaye To. I feel that it is important that the songs are fading out and they're being used at best a lot of in the background, and they're not being lip-synced as such. And I'm glad that it's also happening because when the music element was so strong in Hindi cinema, the music industry never branched off as an independent entity of its own, which it needs to be as it is in the rest of the world. And the other thing is that, people will realize that there's a life which is completely outside the realms of cinema. There's no way that people are going to turn around and say that, well, now we're not interested in music, because it's very much part of our DNA. Whether it is in the form of religion, whereas you have bhajans, you have qawwalis, you have hymns, and so on and so forth.
On that note, speaking about independent music, and as a musician, you have performed in numerous concerts. Very recently, after singer KK's death, there was this whole discussion about the faulty management when it comes to organizing concerts in India. So as someone who's performed in India and abroad, what do you have to say about this? Should there be a change?
It's most tragic. There's no other word. I wouldn't say the word unfortunate. I would say tragic that we lost such an incredible artist. And it's even more upsetting and distressing actually to learn that it may have been as a result of mismanagement of sorts. I don't know, frankly speaking, what the true facts behind this is. But, we try our level best through our, contracts and so on and so forth to try and ensure that a certain kind of decorum is in place for the artist. Out abroad, they have very strict laws. If a venue or arena or whatever, if it is meant for 5,000 people, they will ensure that not a single soul more than 5,000 will be permitted into the premises. Even before the venues are opened for the public to enter, they are examined by all kinds of authorities, including fire management, and precautions have been taken to ensure that the audience that's going to come in, and that automatically means the artist, because everybody is part of the same premises, that they are well taken care of and there's no issues. We have a problem over here because the laws are not as strict over here. So if you have a venue that is meant to be for 5,000, sometimes the greed of a given particular promoter might enable them to end up selling 6,000, 7,000 seats. That has a lot of other consequences. The air conditioning can break down. There's so many aspects which can ultimately not only be hazardous for the artist, but also for the audience. These are things that are very basic in the West, where they do comply with all these things. So I think they must do that over here.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much.